If you're going to do anything with a sandbag, especially a heavier bag over your body weight, it requires a dynamic combination of handling, maneuverability, and explosiveness. If you're lacking in some of these areas and can't seem to have a breakthrough, or if you're a beginner and feeling the initial humbling of sandbags for the first time, it might be worth trying these moves for 8 to 12 weeks I'm about to talk about in the next several minutes. To begin using these moves, the first step is to use a sandbag at a weight you cannot only handle, but can sustain at a moderate to high amount of volume. In other words, I would recommend using a moderate weight, something that isn't too heavy, but still can be stimulating. The road to high pull arrangement is designed to develop handling ability on top of overall strength to be able to handle and control heavier weight from the ground to the lap and then to the chest. Strength will be built up and down the posterior chain, from the upper back to the glutes to the core and the hamstrings and quads as well. I would recommend varying the pace of both exercises from set to set. Like, for example, if you're doing a drop set involving reps, the lower the reps, the slower the pause and the hold at the top of each rep. Mixing tension with power, I've found, is exponentially beneficial for work capacity, whereas your ability to lift and move heavy weight over and over again without being gassed out quick. Back body drops develop the maneuverability and explosiveness simply because you're maneuvering the bag from your lap to over the shoulder. This develops pure power from the lap to the chest with finesse and maneuverability at the chest level, something definitely needed for heavier weight. Through repetition, your explosiveness will improve, which will make it easier to progress to heavier weight, shouldering the sandbag. The foundation of skill will be there. All that will be left to build is the strength to go with it. The sandbag medleys. Doing 2 and 3 and even 4 exercises in a single set is simply going to increase your overall work capacity, plus strength endurance on top of that. Plus, they're pretty fun to do too. It's fun being creative and thinking up a concoction of moves that can flow into one another, similar to a kettlebell flow. Medleys are also a good way to build skill in the sense of handling and maneuverability, as in stringing 3 to 4 exercises in one movement or set without dropping the bag. It's a fun challenge to see how long you can hang with the sandbag as well. If you're like me and only have one heavy sandbag, you might end up training with a partially filled bag. I think that adds an advantage to work capacity because more effort has to be used to control unstable, shifting weight during the exercises and medleys. It's going to passively build a ton of endurance and stamina on top of that. How do we do volume? Well, my recommendation for planning and progressing with volume is very straightforward. Add a set or 2 every week for the row to high pull. I'm a fan of 10 down drop sets personally. Means start at 10 reps for each, next set 9, and then 8, and so on until you get to 1, or whichever number you believe you can handle and work down from. Keep the rest at a minimum, since this would be done with a sandbag of moderate weight. It's a lot of volume, but the result is always worth it. For the lap to shoulder, I would come up with a total even number of reps for each shoulder, like 10 or 20. 1 rep over the left shoulder would be 1, and then the second over the right shoulder would be 2, and then so on. When the amount of volume gets to a point to where it becomes 15 to 20 sets with ease, that's when it's time to add weight or start a new cycle based on a major movement like sandbag to shoulder, the box squats, or a carry. These skill-building moves are very effective between strength and overload cycles, especially when focused on a different pursuit or preparing for some kind of physical challenge or event. It would also be effective for a maintenance cycle as well. Sometimes it's not all about progressively overloading forever because you could burn out eventually and the body needs time to recharge so you can keep going up in weight when it's time to progressively overload to avoid plateaus. Strength and skill with sandbags isn't built in a 12-week cycle. It's a process that takes much longer than that. Well, that's all I got. If you have anything to add, any questions, leave them in the comments. Thanks for being here, and I'll see y'all in the next video.